Good afternoon, everyone. This is Kristen Burke, and I'm the National Marketing Coordinator here at Art Jetter and Company. And we've got a really exciting call here this afternoon. I want to spend some time and go over hospital indemnity plans, and that's really the filling in the gaps of Medicare. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and talk about a few housekeeping items. So during the call, all of the lines are muted. So if you have any questions, feel free to type that into the question bar in that GoToWebinar panel, and we can address questions at the end, as well as then the recording. The webinar will be recorded, so we can definitely share that with you. And if there's any type of handouts, feel free to call us. Today's call is going to be more in a general sense of hospital indemnity plans, in a general speaking, versus talking about a carrier specifically. So definitely, you can always reach out to any of us here at Art Jetter and Company on the senior health team, and we can provide you any additional documentation pertaining to particular carriers and plans that are being offered. So first off, I want to go through and just talk about hospital indemnity plans in a general sense. So again, that's filling in the gaps of Medicare, and specifically where we see the most benefits with hospital indemnity plans, it fills in the gaps of Medicare Advantage. That's where we're seeing a lot of the hospital indemnity plans being sold, is to that Medicare Advantage client. So with Medicare Advantage plans, they're most likely a zero premium plan, but there's going to be some out-of-pocket expenses if they happen to go into the hospital. So this is where the hospital indemnity plan fits in quite nicely, because once they go into the hospital or go to their doctor, the hospital indemnity plan is going to pay out a benefit. So it's going to be a cash benefit paid out, really an indemnity to the client. So, and they can design their hospital indemnity plan to fit their needs. So they can select the number of days of coverage as well as the amount that the policy would pay per day that they are hospitalized. There's a really nice features that are built into hospital indemnity plans. You know, the emergency room benefit, there is a short duration stay. So if they are in for maybe observation, less than 24 hours, the hospital indemnity plan will still pay out some sort of benefit. And then there's also mental health benefits as well that are included with a hospital indemnity plan. Now, recently, a couple of carriers have rolled out a guarantee issue window. So if you're working with clients that are in between the ages of 64 and a half through 67, they'll typically see with a couple carriers a guarantee issue. So they won't have to go through the underwriting process when applying for a hospital indemnity plan. Otherwise, the underwriting for a hospital indemnity is very easy. So it's knock out questions on the application, quick issue, so they know right away if they're going to have that coverage. So they are great policies, again, to coincide with a Medicare Advantage policy. Then they have some optional riders. So, and carriers can, continue to grow in the designs of these plans, and they think of other great riders that may be good benefits for the clients. But there's a skilled nursing facility benefit. The ambulance benefit rider is a big one. Outpatient therapy benefit rider. Cancer diagnosis. If they're diagnosed with cancer, this policy would pay out a certain dollar amount in which they have selected. Outpatient surgery. So as you probably have seen or experienced or know of folks that are having procedures done, more and more of those are being coded and as outpatient. They are in and out that same day, just with the beauty of technology. So there's a benefit for that. As well as the lump sum hospital, there's a benefit for that as well, and critical accident. So that is if they happen to be in an accident, that policy would pay. Some of the plans also offer dental and vision. So just giving you a little bit of idea of what hospital indemnity plans, how they work, what some of the features are within a hospital indemnity plan. But the really selling point of today's call is that we want to talk to one of the experts. So we have the privilege of having one of our top advisors in the hospital indemnity market on the call with us today. So I'd like to just introduce Matt. Thank you for joining us today and taking time out of your busy schedule.
Well, thanks for having me here today. I appreciate being part of this and the support that Art Jetter's done for our agency over the years, and I'm glad to be part of this.
Yeah, we greatly appreciate it. And we enjoy working with you and your office as well. So let's just kind of go ahead and get started. We don't want to waste a lot of people's time here today. So I just want to kind of touch, how long have you been in insurance? Where's your main lines of business? How long have you been selling hospital indemnities?
Well, I've been in the business over 20 years. Our main lines have been in Medicare, group health, individual health, kind of the health side of things, and as well as other things that go along with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hospital indemnity has always been part of things that we've had, but really kind of the light bulb went off in the last few years, in that how this would fit with, with what we're already offering. Hospital indemnity it's always been there. It's one of those products sometimes we forget about how useful it can be when it's in addition to all the other things that we can sell. So it's been around, but the last few years we've picked selling that up and really taken off with that.
Yeah, they have. And some of these carriers have been offering hospital indemnity plans for close to 20 years, but over time, it's gaining more and more popularity.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So which clients do you mainly focus with, and, introducing hospital indemnity plans to?
Well, in the health side, it actually can come into play for just about any, whether it's individual group health, but primarily it works. We find really good success with it with the Medicare Advantage clients, because it really comes in, and some of them even say they fill in the gaps where Medicare Advantage may have co-pays or they max out of pockets in there, where these really come into play. And it can also be used too with, on the individual and even group health, where somebody are concerned about their, they may have some high deductibles, high co-pays in those realms, and this can be useful in that market as well.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I agree. So before we kind of go into the sales process, at what point we'd just like to know, when do you start that conversation with the client, bringing up a hospital indemnity plan, and maybe just walk us through your sales process.
Sure. It's not too hard. We got to be cautious, especially on the Medicare Advantage side. Everybody kind of knows the new rules and things that are out there on that one. But, when a lot of times, especially if somebody's coming off of a Medicare supplement, want to look at a Medicare Advantage plan, one of the biggest things that's going to stand out to an individual is saying, oh, well, yeah, hey, that's great. I get all these extra benefits. Maybe it's not costing me anything, but now when I go use it, now I've got co-pays that I got to pay for. And some of them may not be much, maybe it's $35 for a specialist or $50 for a specialist, or, some of those lower ones aren't a big deal. But when they start looking at the things of, maybe it's $350, $400 per day, for a set amount of days to be in the hospital, and $300 to $500 for a copay for outpatient surgery. They start getting, their eyes get big, and they start going, how do we cover that?
Yeah.
Well, especially if they're coming off a Medicare supplement and they're used to paying something, when you can start saying, okay, now I see that you're concerned about this, let's see if we can fix that. And then you can start going into the hospital indemnity and say, okay, which ones are you concerned about? Which of these? And I just have them circle it, on their policy, saying, okay, I'm concerned about this copay. I'm concerned about this copay. Well, what if we're, $30, $40 a month? I can fix it so that we can take those concerns away for you. Mm-hmm. And when you start doing that and they start circling themselves, they kind of come up with their own solutions, saying, yeah, I need that. Well, for $30, $40, I can do that. It's a pretty easy sell process. I think we were talking on the phone earlier. We've got about a 97% sales rate with our Medicare Advantage clients on taking hospital indemnity policies just by doing that very thing.
Wow, that's unbelievable. And I like that we've talked before, and you had mentioned that maybe you can elaborate a little bit more, that you really kind of give the control over to the client during this
Yeah,
process.
we do. We like to do that. And a lot of these companies will either give you a brochure or you can kind of walk through with them and say, okay, which one of these ones are you concerned about? Okay, well, let's see if we can handle this copay over here for you as a reimbursement. What about outpatient therapy? Do you want us to help cover that? Okay. They kind of pick and choose. It's an a la carte. You can mix and match with a lot of these companies, and that gives control to your client to say, hey, I'm comfortable with that. Oh, maybe I don't want that. Okay, we'll take that out. And they come up with their price that they want. When they can see that, choose what they want, I'll tell you what, most of them are like, okay, sign me up. Let's do it. It does, between them being able to see what they do and what's in front of them and that their concerns are addressed, it usually goes pretty well.
So you say that you probably don't have a lot of clients resist picking up a hospital indemnity plan.
No, very, very rarely. In fact, resisting, I would say, next to none. The only time they're really not written is if there is something, some of them may be outside of a guaranteed issue time or may have some medical issues. Maybe they don't qualify for one of these policies. And, most companies will have that spelled out pretty easily for you. But do I have any turn it down with that? I usually don't.
Mm-hmm. That's good. And do you have to bring up a hospital indemnity plan multiple times, at various different maybe discussion points, calls, meetings, or is it really just bringing it up once and then they're
It's one and done.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
One and done. I don't usually have too many walk out of the office after that saying that, well, let me think about this. They're usually like, no, that takes care of what I'm worried about. Let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
I rarely have anybody that's ever walks out and comes, says, let me think about this.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Again, it's about putting, and I think this is a lot of it, and it's a lot of sales process, is giving them the feeling they have the control over their own health care and choosing what gaps they want to get filled. They feel like they're part of the solution.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I think that makes a big difference for them.
Right, and the beauty of a hospital indemnity, because you can really customize that plan to fit their needs.
Absolutely. You can make it do whatever you want it to do to make them feel comfortable.
So during that sales process, do you use technology, maybe, like CSG, where you can look at designing that plan, or maybe some of the carrier-specific tools for quoting and customizing the plan, or do you use just a worksheet?
Really the two things that are the base for me is whatever Medicare Advantage plan or whatever plan they're on is having that in front of them and circling their concerns. That's number one. That's the biggest thing I have. Sometimes I use a brochure or, something with them to say, hey, here's things that can offered. A lot of times it's my own quoting tools with the companies and saying, okay, let's look at this together. Which ones do we want to plug in? This is what the cost is going to be so that they can see that. There's a lot of other great tools. I'm not saying that that companies don't, but a lot of times just simple where they can see it. That's worked for us.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to maybe the writers, are there specific ones that you see clients picking up majority of?
Sometimes on the actual policy, specifically, like we'll see some on the cancer ones that pick that up if they have a concern or you're asking about, hey, is this something we want to add on to it? I've seen those get added. I think that's kind of the main one. Most of it is just what's already built into these policies because most of them are so rich already on what they can choose. But
exactly.
Cancer was definitely one that I've seen added on.
And then the outpatient rider, are you seeing any an uptick with that one?
Yeah, I have seen that one. I've seen that one, especially like this outpatient surgical rider is a really good one to add on because that's usually a copay that's also on the Medicare Advantage side. So that one gets added quite a bit. Some people have looked at the lump sum hospital if they want to add a little extra coverage on that. You know, a lot of them have critical accident and dental and vision, and those are available. But I would say outpatient surgical and lump sum hospital are two of them. A lot of them like to look at that.
Exactly. And it's, you know, and again, it just is really kind of what is their concerns, if they have any health history of, let's say, cancer, you know, maybe that it's a great way for them to add on at a minimal amount some nice benefits in case they are diagnosed with cancer. So there's a couple, go ahead.
Oh, I just say just biggest thing to keep in mind with these are fully, you know, most carriers are fully customizable, so you can make this whatever they want to do with this to make them comfortable not only with the gaps in there, but also their financial level that they can afford, and putting in whatever rider makes them comfortable. That's going to get you the sale.
Mm-hmm. Maybe, and you touch on the claims process too.
Yeah, you know, the claims has been pretty good. You know, most carriers will carry or add something in there like a pre-existing condition. Usually the first 6 months they won't cover anything pre-existing. But it's been pretty streamlined. I've had a lot of people utilize this, and we usually within the first year on the hospital indemnity plans, if they file a claim, send in the bill with some paperwork. Usually in the first year, they will contact the doctor also for additional notes or anything like that, but it's been pretty fast turnaround on them. And I can't say I've ever had, to this point, you know, fingers crossed, that we haven't had any claims ever denied on it. These carriers are paying it pretty quickly too. So, you know, customers aren't hanging out there very long before they get a check. Most of the time it's within 30 days. It depends on if they have to get any more in depth on it or any additional doctor notes. That, you know, it's up to the doctor, but that may take a little more time, but it's usually pretty quick.
Well, good. I know there was a few questions that have come through, and we always like to hear, maybe we can just chime in on a few of those. So one question was, and I can either address it or if you can, whichever, give more details on that critical accident rider. Again, if you'd like to answer that, or I can.
Well, go ahead and I'll fill in for you.
Okay. All right. So it's really just covered for various different critical events. So if you have an accidental death, unfortunately, or a fracture, hip, skull, hip dislocation, or knee, any type of fracture. So then it would, you're in the emergency room for various different types of conditions like those. Then the policy would pay out a benefit.
And it's usually a lump sum, depending on the carrier. They'll say, okay, well, this is a qualifying event. I'm going to use a real life instance here. So I had a client that fell just recently on ice, the snowy weather, and broke a hip that turned very problematic for him. And they had to get some additional care and things that were actually outside of that Medicare would pay for. And that critical illness rider came in and paid a lump sum to help them pick up some of those bills. So it actually worked. It's kind of an addition to what's already there is what it's helping with for a fall or an accident, whatever may come into play there.
Yeah. Now, have you seen, I don't believe so, but have you seen the premiums go up with a hospital indemnity plan?
Boy, I
Historically,
haven't.
no.
You know, I would say, you know, maybe there are carriers there, but I haven't seen any price increases.
Hmm. Now, someone is also asking, um, from your line of business, um, do you have other business where people come in to your office for care? Maybe to meet with you. Are you in the PNC space as well, or maybe in
I
other
used to be in
agents?
the PNC space years ago, but I'm not in the PNC space. I work primarily group health, Medicare, individual health. We do, you know, I work on the insurance side, you know, with like annuities, life insurance, anything in that space. And then I have another side that we work with investment stuff. So.
Okay. Hmm. And then another question which I can address, with a hospital indemnity plan, it does cover, you know, ER copays, as well as there's ambulance riders that you can tack on. So those are available with the hospital indemnity plans.
Mhm. Yeah, and if you're looking at, I'll tell you that's usually a big one clients want to cover is like the ER or like the ambulance copay, because that's usually a big copay on most Medicare Advantage plans, and you can add those on the indemnity to help cover that. So.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, it's a huge plus. And then when it gets to, if you're life flighted, that that amount is astronomical. So
Yep.
um, now they're asking too, what about the Part B drugs? Maybe Steve, we can get back with you if you're maybe asking in the Part D drug plans. So we can talk with you further on that. And then can the drug benefit be used for drugs? And it is a lump sum payout, so you can use those dollars in whichever way you need.
Yep.
So even if it's where you're having to travel to a different part of the country to receive care, you can use that money for the travel expenses or missed work or, you know, whatever the case may be. So. Mhm.
And every carrier has different things that they add that allow you to add in it. So if you can't find it with one carrier, maybe another carrier has that copay or that expense that they're able to reimburse for you on it. So you just may have to check around sometimes too.
Mhm. But I believe some of those, some of these riders are a once and done, or some of them may be renewable. It really probably just depends upon the carrier
Yeah,
and the
exactly.
policy.
You know,
So.
I think most of the cancer ones are one and done that I've
Mhm.
seen. I think most of the critical ones are kind of a one and done, but not all of them.
Right. Yeah. So is there any other sales tips or ideas that you'd like to share as well?
No, I guess just from my perspective, well, you know, when my you know, my agents and people here, when we added this as part of, really got serious about taking hospital indemnity and adding it part of our portfolio for our clients, it made all the difference in the world with not only closing our Medicare stuff, but our health side and everything. It, I mean, we just pair it together. It's just natural. It pairs together, and it helped us close the sales on everything because they're walking away comfortable,
Mhm.
but they also feel like they have control over their own health with a lot of this. So if I can encourage you, if you're not doing hospital indemnity, look at adding it. Just try it once and see how it goes, and I don't think you'll be disappointed with it.
Yes, I agree as well. So, well, I don't think there's a lot of other questions that are coming through. But, you know, again, your time is very valuable as well as everybody else's time on the phone here. Greatly appreciate you sharing, you know, your experiences and knowledge with us. And thank you again.
Yeah, glad to be here. It's fun.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. And again, if you have any questions, we are here to help. Really just with not only with the hospital indemnity or anything in the Medicare senior health market, but in all those lines of business that are listed on the left-hand side of the screen. So give us a call at 800-228-0008 or send us an email at seniorhealth@jetter.com. All right. Thank you, Matt, and thanks for everybody for joining. Take care.
Yep.